that's half the job of being a producer is just herding cats. You learn to herd cats.
Yeah, you guys are really throwing shade on my bandmates that stood me up.
We're helping you out, man. We're trying to help you out.
Yeah, are you guys free tonight?
If you're the only one ready for rehearsal, then you might have to look at the band a little bit.
Hello and welcome to Connected. I'm Tomasz Koper, sitting in for Divya Gopalan. This is my ticket to fame, or so I thought 20-something years ago when I started playing it. Later, I realized that making a living off music is harder than I had thought, especially without a big label backing you up. So, joining us for today's open mic on Taiwan's indie music scene, we welcome David Chen, a Taipei-based musician, and Leo Shia, music producer, coming to us from Taipei as well. Leo, on top of being an artist yourself, you are organizing an interesting event here in Taipei. Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, so I produce a show called That's My Shh with my partner Yao Bai, who is the 2013 Battle of the Year locking world champion. So one of the only, if not the only, Taiwanese person to do so. So the event is a focus on combining the dance community along with the music community and creating an experience that is rarely seen kind of in Taiwan. There's a lot of separating of genres and mediums and classifications and all that in Taiwan, and it was our goal to kind of get rid of those walls and let music be music and have everyone enjoy it all together.
Well, we'll be taking a glimpse behind the scenes later in the show. But first, let me go to David. You've been a musician here in Taiwan for a while. What's your journey been like? What brought you here to us today?
I guess that would be revealing my age or betraying my old age that I've been doing this since about 2003. Which makes it 20 years. But basically, I have a band. I'm involved in several projects. One of them is the Muddy Basin Ramblers. We're a group of like old-time folk blues musicians who play old swing jazz and blues, jug band music. I also freelance as a producer and musician for hire. And some of the notable projects I've worked with are the Hakka singer Leo Shia, a female Hakka singer, and I also have other projects that I do. I've done a duet with a P-pop player. We have a duet called, her name is Zhong Yufeng, and we have a duet called Fade to Blue. It's sort of acoustic music. So, but yes, I've been doing this since about 2003, and it slowly became a full-time profession.
All right. Well, also, we're going to talk about the turning your passion for music into a profession later in the show. But let's start with some definitions. I mean, I'm sure the three of us will probably have like 3 or 4 different definitions of what indie music is. So, Leo, what is indie music to you? How do you understand the term?
Oh man, is that? Can you even really define what indie music is? At this point, thanks to the internet, I think indie music is anything, really. You have independent artists who are making full-on radio pop music, you know. So it's not even a major label thing. It's just whether or not people want a boss or not, and the amount of work that they're willing to put in and what they're hoping to achieve. But I wouldn't say that indie music specifically has a specific sound or genre anymore. I think it's all encompassing.
Well, David, do you consider yourself an indie musician?
Yes, I agree with Leo's definition. I think he hit it on the head. Like, if you're your own boss, you're running the show, whatever you do you're by definition an independent musician. I think about it. I think about it from the past years that I've been doing this. as a musician and my contact with people that play music of other genres. There are different styles and genres, and actually I like them all. I like a lot, so I have a pretty wide, diverse taste when it comes to music. I also, in a former life, I was a reporter for the Taipei Times, and I covered music. So I had to keep my eye on so many different fields, and it's really I like to say that indie music is definitely just self-driven and people who just want to create things. And I think today that definition is more true than ever. I think the more traditional or older view of indie music was that it was sort of based on guitar rock, it's sort of alternative. It came out of the 90s, that alternative rock definition. But and part of that's from the punk movement, because there was a very large or huge DIY ethos to doing that music, and I think it applies today. I think that's the good thing about the punk movement, is that it taught us all how to get by in this world today.
Well, but it's never been easier to get by. I mean, like when punk was around, we didn't have computers, we didn't have internet. You couldn't realistically record an album in your bedroom, which now is completely possible. So how is the definition or the character of indie music changing because of that? Leo, what do you think?
Yeah, good and bad, right? Like you touched on, there's access now. So you're able to touch audiences that normally used to take years to kind of accumulate, or just being heard in general is technically an easier thing. But at the same time, now everyone's an artist, everyone's a musician, everyone has a demo. So while technically it might be easier, I would argue that it might actually be harder now because of the absolute influx. Like you ask, at least when I ask my 20-year-old, some friends and younger, and my nieces and stuff who they listen to, a lot of them don't really even refer to artists. They refer to playlists. They refer to moods. They don't necessarily even know their favorite song's artist. You know what I mean? So it's a very different situation now, and I kind of feel like it's setting up music to go the way of like hotel lobby paintings, where you might see something nice and you just kind of walk by it and just tip your hat and then keep on going with your day. So yeah, good and bad. I think there's more opportunities to make money as well, but it's a bit cluttered out there. Yeah.
So as Leo is saying, indie musicians often struggle finding the space or reach to showcase their talent, but one event in Taipei aims to give them unrestricted freedom to play and experiment. Take a look.
It's just anything you do in the moment makes sense. And there's no script, no rehearsals, nothing. Everybody's just being themselves. 然后那个感觉很难形容的。我觉得在台湾没有人在办这样子的表演。
我觉得 Deathmatch 很纯啊，就是它的 pure。其实真的要我跟朋友讲，就是你就来听歌、跳舞、唱歌。
就它对于我们表演者是给我们很大的空间，让我们去在舞台上面发挥，不会特别去限制我们说哦，你不能做这个，你不能做那个。他们是给我们很大的空间，让我们去发挥的。
这样的过程，其实我觉得是大家都有彼此在聆听的。你要在听你的 member 现在要干嘛，有谁突然要 solo 了，或者是他又要一个过门了，那个过程这么专心的在聆听彼此的这个过程，我觉得现在台湾音乐可能比较少，对，因为现在大部分可能是固定做好的，然后可能focus 会在，比方说歌手唱的好不好啊，漂不漂亮。有没有唱得很厉害啊？对，但是在 Let's My Show 有一个东西很酷，是我觉得就算我去我是歌手，但是其实我跟所有的人都有平均表现的机会，每一个人都是 artist。
我们永远不知道当下会发生什么样子有趣的事情，也许突然这边胖谁jump进来，然后 突然来个 solo， 然后或是我改变了这一个段的唱法，然后随时做在这个 party 上面你觉得有趣、疯狂，但永远安全的事情。
但如果你跟乐手的话，就是你们两个会一直看着对方，然后我们在做不一样的。就我要等你，你也在等我；我在看你，你也在看我的那种同时间，我们一起停下来，一起动的那种。
其实 That's My Shit 的这个文化，它可以包容各种不一样载体的艺人。我会这样说的原因，是因为它本身就是一个包容的文化，所以不管你做了什么事情，不管你达到什么样的成就，我觉得如果有这样的一个环境，更应该透过这件事情的聚集，去刺激大家更多的想象。
我觉得是 freedom 好了，就是我们现在在很多在音乐工业嘛，就是大家会有制程。那在大家熟悉的，比如说怎么让一个表演，或者怎么去做一个好的表演，通常都会有一个规划嘛，或是步骤。我觉得 That's My Shit Leo 很厉害的，或是很好的点是，他教你说哦，其实你就是做音乐就好，不用想那么多中间的步骤到底该怎么走才对。
所以在这样的这个很 free jam 的过程当中，你会 push 你自己要再出来一点，再出来一点，再出来一点，就是你会一直给，一直给，一直给。所以我觉得这个是这个活动能量很大的原因在这里，因为后面的人都一直给，一直给，你不给你不给，你会被挤到边边。对，如果你要站在那个上面，你就我要唱，这样就要唱出来。
我觉得在这样的表演上面，有趣的是你在台上，你想象可能要做，一直想要做的事情都可以做，然后你可以把整个音乐重新换掉。
没有的自由，比如说或是这个舞台上表演，没有那个我想做什么就做什么的自由，我觉得大家也会感觉得到，台下的人也会感觉得到。
You can watch this and other connected features on our website and the TaiwanPlus News YouTube channel. So, Leo, what prompted you to create this event in Taipei? What's the story behind it?
So when I got to Taiwan, my first gig was a DJ gig here at a club. I'll leave unnamed, but at the time, not just myself, but all DJs and actually pretty much all the clubs in Taipei were given the mandate that don't play local music. If you're in the club, don't play local music. That's not what the ballers want to hear. That's not what the people spending money want to hear. So don't play local music. And initially, when I came out here, that wasn't a problem because I didn't have local music. So it's like, okay, cool. But as time progressed and I started to travel more and perform more outside of Taiwan, I recognized that in Korea, in the Philippines, in Japan, in Singapore, in Thailand, anywhere really you went, you would hear local music in the clubs, on the radio, intermingled with Western hits and whatnot. So I found it really curious as to why that was. So I started changing my focus from doing more international acts and more overseas acts to focusing on local and seeing what was going on here. So the goal was just to combine my favorite talent that I saw from around the island with my favorite musicians and my favorite dancers and put them all into one place where they could all coexist and create just freely and enjoy music again.
Well, yeah, you say freely, and a lot of them, if not all of them, talked about freedom and this freedom to just do what you do what you want to do. David, why do you think so many of them focus on freedom? Does that mean that there's not enough freedom elsewhere in the scene? Not just indie scene, but music scene in general?
I think this is two things. One of them is like this idea of freedom is tied to the music. And I think because a lot of it's hip hop and R&B and soul oriented. That's sort of like a gift from American music, like African American music. That's sort of that gift to the world, you know. And I think that that's my shit, and what Leo's done is a reflection, because I've watched it grow over the years, right? And it's a reflection of the maturity, and it's the reflection of the yearning of young Taiwanese people. You know, they're drawing inspiration from jazz, from blues, from hip hop, from R&B and soul. And I think part of the freedom comes from the very nature of that music, you know. So I think it's a gift to the world in that sense. It's a gift to Taiwan. It's a gift to Taiwan's indie music scene in a sense. And even if you don't play that kind of music, you find that idea of freedom definitely manifests. It's creative freedom, and it manifests in all styles, whether it's just hard, you know, straight edge, post rock, or in the field I work in, I work with a lot of folk musicians. We do the same things. We're incorporating sort of jazz elements, sort of elements of improvisation. And I think that's what a lot of Taiwanese musicians are hungry for.
Well, freedom and lack of restrictions, they sound great, but working with musicians, and I know that from my firsthand experience, is like herding cats. That bass that I used as a prop earlier, I was supposed to go to band practice after work today, but my drummer and my guitarist canceled last minute. So how do you actually organize an event with so many musicians and a general kind of loose structure and kind of make it happen in the end?
You got to pick the right people. Honestly, that's kind of been my mandate for this whole project. Honestly, it's mainly just me and Yao Bai kind of putting the whole thing together. We definitely have some help. I don't want to overlook that at all. But generally, the planning, the finding of the people, the putting together of the show is the two of us. But it comes down to us meeting a lot of great artists, great musicians who are willing to share their gift, their time, and they're appreciative of the opportunity of someone not telling them what to do, how to dress, how to look, how to sing this song. What you're supposed to emote to the audience. Our mandate is go out there, have the best time you've had on stage, and let that be that. So if you're shy, go be shy. If you're the most outgoing person in the world, do that. But whatever you're doing, just make sure you're having fun and you're being yourself out there.
Well, David, you've been a musician here in Taiwan for a while. If someone came to you and said, like, hey, I'm thinking of going into music professionally, I'm thinking of making that my career, would you recommend that? Would you say it's a good idea?
It really depends on the person. You know, my instinctual reaction is go try it. I mean, anything in life, you got to try it. The people that make it through are the ones that have commitment and a little bit of luck. You know, I think it's a lot of sweat, some luck, basically. I will add to I've also done a fair amount of production work on my own, and I would just sort of second what Leo said about picking the right people. Because when you're putting together a show or any kind of project, or trying to get your drummer and your guitarist to show up to rehearsal, part of it is that's half the job of being a producer. Is just herding cats. You learn to herd cats.
Yeah, you guys are really throwing shade on my bandmates that stood me up.
We're helping you out, man. We're trying to help you out.
Yeah, are you guys free tonight?
If you're the only one ready for rehearsal, that you might have to look at the band a little bit.
Well, okay. Speaking of money, though, or staying with money, Leo, is that's my success commercially, or is it still a passion project that you have to supplement with your own funds?
No, at this point, I'm happy to say that we've not only been able to raise I think over 8 million NT now, but every single penny of that has gone back into the independent artists who have performed and helped make That's My Shit what it is. So while, yeah, it might be me and Yaobai kind of driving the car, yeah, That's My Shit doesn't exist without all of the artists who have participated and put in their time and energy. So, yeah, thankfully, it is a profitable endeavor. And thankfully, we can continue to contribute and give back to the community.
Well, so both of you guys have, or are based in Taipei, but have experience sort of, making music elsewhere. David, would you say that like making music in Taiwan, being an indie musician, especially in Taiwan, is like different than being an indie musician in North America, in the US or Canada, the big indie music markets?
I think it's a sheer numbers game and a sheer size game, at least with Taiwan. I think there's a smaller market in the sense that like there are fewer places to play. That's probably a smaller audience base. Although that's sort of slowly changing now, I think, because, well, I hope it's slowly changing for the better in Taiwan. But in general, it's a smaller percentage of audiences that you're playing for. So, and also it's a cultural problem. I don't mean cultural as in whatever country, but it's a music culture thing, as in like specifically what I mean is like the culture of going to see live shows is better than it used to be in Taiwan, but still not as strong as a musician would hope for.
Well, so the success of That's My Shit would suggest that, things are going in the right direction here. But Leo, where do you see the indie music scene going here in Taiwan? Is it developing? Is it developing fast enough? What would you like to see happen?
Yeah, well, 100%. Like, I think David really nailed it on the head. Like, the growth I've been here for just over a decade now, and the growth has been exponential. But like David also referred to, lack of venue space, the fact that touring bands generally can only hit kind of like 4 cities, maybe 5 at best. So the market is smaller. However, I would argue also that like because of the size, musicians once are able to touch, because of the size, but also the population, you're able to kind of gather a following and reach more people a little faster than you would, say, in Canada and Toronto, where I originally had come from. Because, for example, Toronto is a city that gets dozens and dozens of mainstream shows every night. So the audience there is already kind of, they're spoiled. Unless you're one of the top 5-10 artists that they want to see, you're not going to get seen.
And David, just briefly before we finish today, like the transition from indie to mainstream, when an indie musician finds a label that that wants to sign them, do you think that is always an automatic choice? Like, yeah, sure, of course I want to be signed with a label. Or do you think that there is just inherent value in staying indie? Would you sign with a major label, or would you rather stay independent and do your own thing?
My natural inclination is to stay independent because I prefer to have full control, artistic control of what I do. But having said that, I understand if someone wants a major label backing, because not everybody's built the same way, not everybody's wired the same way, not everybody wants to deal with the background headaches of organizing, the administrative work behind having your operation, because usually an artist is not just the artist, it's a team of people behind that person. So I don't know. I mean, look at Taylor Swift. She is her own business, and she is quite a savvy person doing it basically on her own, I think. I mean, she's running her show. So there's a bazillion ways to do it. I think it depends on your personality. I like doing my own show, despite the headaches.
And Leo, do you ever have musicians leave That's My Shit because they got too big and it's like, okay, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm with BMI or Sony right now?
Well, actually, after our first record, we were approached by Sony to sign to them as well. And we actually negotiated the first deal in Taiwan where we were not signed to Sony, but we were in fact partners with them while keeping our masters. So I think right now at this point, labels, because of the hard position that they're in, because everyone could go independent and labels aren't near as valuable as they once were, I think the smart labels are also trying to figure out ways to work with the new independent artists, to work with the new ilk of artists who are a lot more savvy and a lot more aware of all the downfalls of signing with a label. So I think we're going in a good direction. But in terms of like signing to a major or not, like David said, again, hit it right on the head. Like, it's totally a personality thing. I take on a lot of work that a lot of maybe fellow artists wouldn't be interested in doing. And it's just something that I developed through time, being an independent artist in Canada. But in Taiwan, it's a little actually easier to touch labels out here and get some label interest out here. So I wouldn't never say definitely discount it, because I think there's, like David said, there are definitely artists who are better to be artists and have people take care of things for them. But then for those who are willing to really put in the work and kind of keep 100% of their ownership and stake, and I think if you're willing to do it, it's the best choice for sure.
Well, unfortunately, we ran out of time. This has been a very, very fun conversation. I will hit you guys up after the show for some recommendations for new guitarists and new drummers. And for our audience at home, it's been great to have your company. Thank you, and stay connected.